10 commandment formula, 9. And I may combine this and make it 9 and 10 because they're pretty much the same. Number 9 is thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, and 10 is thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's goods. So one of them is talking about a person, and one of them are talking about places and things. So if you're in line with coveting another person's partner, it's not that, well, first of all, we know what that means, okay? And we know how energy works. But this is not to say that you are doomed forever to be in situations where you are insecure because your partners similar to you covet and want, something else of others instead of their own, which would be you. And it's not to say that you're doomed forever to be insecure in partnerships because others may try to tempt your partner, just like you may have made another person insecure by coveting their partner, even if only in your mind. You're not completely doomed. However, as long as you think it's okay, nothing's wrong, and it's just in your mind, sometimes, people actually act on it. The point is that the seeds are there, whether you act on it or not. And you're open, okay? And when I say you're open, I mean your boundaries are down. You're not able to see the actions that you allow from others and the actions you take as setting yourself up for failure. You're not able to see that because you don't understand that a boundary is missing inside of you. And you'll basically align and feel comfortable with other people who also don't have that boundary because you guys think the same. And so that becomes a setup for hurtful and sometimes devastating situations. Because people who don't have that boundary usually have a commonality, an understanding, a vibe, a secure feeling, a comfortableness with other people who also don't have that boundary. And that allows for them to come together easily. It allows them to come together or feel they're meant for each other without understanding the seed of why that comfortability, which is a lack of mental mastery, leaves the door open for disaster to strike. So please understand that when a person understands the importance of loving what or who they have and understands the consequences of coveting another person's partner or stuff, they move differently than people who don't know. And because they move differently, they know and they can see clearly and they can stay clear of people who don't have that boundary. And people who don't have that boundary would not feel comfortable around a person who does have that type of boundary. Okay, they would feel uncomfortable. They would feel they may feel judged. They may feel not good enough for the other person. They may feel the other person is too strict, has too many standards. So many different ways that can come out. When a person who does not understand that, it comes around a person who does understand that there's a boundary inside concerning this, so those two people would not feel compatible. They would, they would just feel off. And they would feel off because they would feel like something within them would need to change, and they may not be ready for that change. And they may not even be aware that there is a issue abound. So they may not even understand healthy boundaries and toxic non-boundaries. To not have boundaries is toxic. And when you don't have boundaries, you don't have boundaries, period. So if you interact or choose to align with someone that doesn't have boundaries, you have to be willing to live a life of no boundaries. Nothing is off limits. Other people are not off limits. Other things are not off limits. So, and people who don't have boundaries, they don't have boundaries. And they move differently from people who do have boundaries. People who do know the importance of appreciating and being grateful for who they are, who they have in their life, and what they have in their life. They don't take those things for granted. And then the people, you may have people that don't, have those types of boundaries where they covet things that they haven't earned, they haven't worked for, they haven't put any real effort into. They move differently from people who have gone through the experiences. Maybe they've already gone through the devastation, the hurt, the pain, the whatever, and have learned by going within that, hey, I'm attracting certain people for a reason. I feel too comfortable with a lack of mastery of my mind, which lets me feel comfortable with other people who have not mastered their mind as well. And so it's just a different vibration, and that comes with whether you covet what another person has, be it another person, relationship, or if it's a thing. So that's like for commandment number 9 and 10. So I guess the basic thing is, if you are in the type of energy where you can covet anything that is not yours, you will allow for other people to come into your life, and you will welcome other people into your life that also covet what other people have. So it doesn't matter that you may become theirs. It doesn't matter, because you guys came together under the vibration of wanting something that belongs to someone else, or is for someone else. And so that will end up being the result. And it may cause devastation, because sometimes people will say, well, it's okay to want another person that belongs to someone else, as long as you don't act on it. And that leaves, like I said, a boundary open. The truth is, it's not okay. And the only reason why I say that it's not okay, not trying to be judgmental whatsoever, is if you take the stance that it's not okay, and you act, and you move into alignment with it's not okay, then you'll find other people seeing you who also understand that, let's say, loyalty is important. So thou shalt not covet another person's partner. Thou shalt not covet another person's things. And we're going to let that end out, the 10 Commandment Formulas, and we're going to move right on into the next series. And I don't know if I mentioned in any of the other videos, but the next series, I have a connection to the number 12. So the next series is going to be about the 12.